Hey, everybody out there. I'm Danni Danger. Oh, I don't know if I'm doing it like I do an individual video. I'm Danni Danger, and these guys over here.
I like that intro.
Actually, yeah, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Hello, Internet. We are Screen Fanatic and oneofus.net, and we are here today to talk about our favorite detective stories ever. I'm Danni Danger with Screen Fanatic.
I'm Harris O'Malley with DrNerdLove.com.
And I'm Martin Thomas. You see me on Double Toasted and whatever else.
Yeah, we're here to solve the mystery of who our favorite detectives are. That's terrible.
What? Well, I mean, it's straightforward, right?
You're a wild cannon, Danny, but you get results.
I'll see myself out. Yeah, so I want to start with Martin, because before the episode, he was kind of doing his research over here, making little snicker noises.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very eager to hear what you got.
Yeah. Well, okay, so, it's always cool to go with something where people go like, wait, who? What is that? Or to have the people go like, oh, deep cut, I like that one. So I'm going to go with something, as we've been talking about older movies lately.
Okay.
My detective is Daryl Zero from the movie Zero Effect from 1998.
We're calling 1998 old now?
Yes, it's, 24 years ago?
No, it's not. It's 10.
Daryl Zero is a detective played by Bill Pullman, who is kind of Sherlock Holmes-like in that he's a genius, but he's also super eccentric, extremely antisocial, and neuroatypical.
I was going to say, the word you're looking for is neurodivergent.
Yeah, neurodivergent, thank you. And it's almost like, it's kind of a Nero Wolfe situation, where he's the brilliant detective, but Ben Stiller is his man Friday, who is the face of things. He got the kind of, because one of his neuroses is being agoraphobic. So Ben Stiller does most of the legwork. It's kind of a comedy. It is a comedy, but not a straight up comedy. It's a great detective movie. And it was one of those movies, kind of like Remo Williams, where everybody who saw it went, this is awesome. I can't wait till this is huge and they make more of these. It was not huge. They made no more. And unlike Remo Williams, there's not even books you can read to follow the further adventures of. But it's a fantastic movie. And a really tight detective story. And as a matter of fact, just even looking it up, making me think about it, makes me go like, ooh, I'm going to go watch this when I get home.
Okay. All right. What about you, Harris?
I think some of my favorite detective stories are the ones where people are not formally detectives. They're just folks who are, for whatever reason, stuck with trying to solve a case. And I think my favorite version of this is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang by Shane Black, which was really what shot Robert Downey Jr. back into relevance again, right before Iron Man, and reminded everybody what a good actor he is, where he's playing Harry Lockhart, a 2-bit criminal who, through pure random chance, ends up running from the scene of a crime straight into an audition for a movie and getting sent to Hollywood because they loved his audition so much, where, wacky things happen, and suddenly it's Chinatown all over again, and he's trying to solve a case that he honestly has no business trying to solve, but is doing so in part because he is desperate to get with his old crush Harmony, who, by sheer coincidence, happens to be an actress in Hollywood now.
So I think it also did the same thing for Val Kilmer.
Yes.
Which was really great too. It's one of my favorite Val Kilmer roles. But there are still English lessons that Harmony teaches to him throughout the movie that ring in my head because I'm an editor professionally. I'm like, no, when you say it that way, it makes it sound like the mechanism that allows you to feel is broken. Like, it's the difference between adverb and adjective, you guys. Like, come on.
That is one awesome movie, and every time you watch it, you catch things that you didn't catch before.
Yes,
and so many great little one-liners and just random reactions that I just love. My favorite being the moment they're at the Christmas party. And
a Shane Black movie with Christmas?
Yeah, go figure. I really wanted him to show me on the Santa doll where Christmas touched him. Right. But it's like Harry is fed up yelling about how screwed up Hollywood is, and how everybody who someone grabbed the country and shook it really hard, and everybody who couldn't hang on landed in Hollywood. At which point Harmony says, everybody who really hates Harry, raise your hand. Everybody at the party does. Val Kilmer as Gay Perry, greatest name for a detective ever, comes in as she says this, says, obedient little bitches, aren't they? Someone yells, hey, and chucks a bottle at him, and without breaking stride, just goes, whip, dodges it, and keeps going.
Everything about that movie is so great. And you get the feeling, just the hint, that maybe Robert Downey Jr. is just playing himself. Like,
what? Robert Downey Jr. playing himself? The hell you say?
That's in a lot of movies, especially back in Less Than Zero.
Yeah. Like, are you really acting? Either way, we're really enjoying it. This has basically just gone from acting to stand-up
whatever
comedy.
stick you got going, we're all loving it.
Yeah.
And
here for it.
It turned your life around and made you a multimillionaire. So good for you.
So, not having much in common with the career of Robert Downey Jr., but what's really weird is that, like, sitting down and thinking about this episode, I realized that I haven't really liked a lot of modern detectives, but I was really, really into detective stories when I was a kid. Of course, like, I loved Nancy Drew and Harriet the Spy, but one of my absolute favorites was Hank the Cowdog, and we were joking around before this, and our director did not know who Hank the Cowdog was, and so I just really wondered if this was, like, just a regional thing, or if, like, he just missed the boat, but, like, Southern dog living on a farm, like, nice farm vibes of dogs solving mysteries, like...
He is absolutely delusional, convinced that he is, like, the greatest at everything ever, and he's got his little sidekick who's got, 3 brain cells to rub together, only one of them works at any one moment, believes everything he says. He's in love with another dog at the next farm named Beulah, who's, in a relationship with some snotty dog.
What type of animal is his sidekick?
It's another dog.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't want to derail. I was just like you're really painting a picture.
Yeah,
and that part was
they're
blank.
all just mutts, like dealing with like living out on a ranch out in like West Texas.
Yeah. Well, I'm familiar with Hank in that I know he exists. I've never read any of the books. Even my kids weren't really into him. But during this time when they were in elementary school, the books were mentioned all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was hanging out with a lot of children's book authors and illustrators.
Ooh.
So I got to kind of know, that there was a Hank. But it's interesting to hear, like, as you tell this story, I'm like, dang, I kind of want to read that.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, too, because Hank is sort of like this weird foil to ScoobyDoo, which I was always really into, where ScoobyDoo's like, I really don't actually want to be here. I just showed up for the snacks. I do not want to solve mysteries. I am not into monsters, and Hank is like very much into it. So I think there's just like a common vein, a random common vein through my childhood of dogs who solved mysteries.
Well, like, there's a weird trend in, like, the 70s and 80s, especially with, like, Rankin Bass and Hanna-Barbera, where it's just, like, whatever random organization of people you're going to put together, and I swear they did this by throwing darts at a board and just being like, all right, they're a rock band with a shark underwater that solves mysteries.
Yes.
It was...
Not joking. Look that one up.
It was the thing for Hanna-Barbera in the 70s. They had, ever since the Flintstones kind of pulled from the Honeymooners, that started to be their thing, where they went like, oh, what's a popular sitcom? And we'll base a character on that. The way the Jetsons were based on Blondie. I know your kids are like, Blondie, what is that? But
she was a punk singer from the 70s and 80s. You'll figure it out.
Not that one.
Got really high on the Muppet Show.
Wait, is that a cookie? Is that one of those reverse brownie things?
Oh no! And even Scooby-Doo was based on this show, the Many Lives of Dobie Gillis. All those characters were pulled from that, and they just kept doing that over and over. Like, oh, Curly from the Three Stooges, he'll be a shark with a rock band that solves crime. Go. There you go, kid. It's easy. It takes nothing to put these things together.
Damn, nobody's writing any original content anymore.
The great detective Charlie Chan. Well, he has a family, and they solve crimes while he's out doing stuff.
Mr. T, he's got a gymnast team. They solve crime.
Yeah.
Not joking. That was a real show.
All right, Mark.
Oh, is it back on me?
The Trollkins. Don't forget the Trollkins. Anyway, go on.
Okay, sorry. I was all ready to go with Pat Novak For Hire, because it's an old-time radio show that I love. And I love listening to old-time radio because I'm that guy.
I have some old radio shows on vinyl, like Green Hornet and things like that. They're great.
Well, the adventure ones are fine, but the detective ones I think are better.
Yeah.
But Pat Novak is the one. If you listen to no other old-time radio show, listen to Pat Novak For Hire with Jack Webb. Yes, Jack Webb from Dragnet. Where he isn't, like you say, he's not a licensed detective. He's a guy who lives on the wharf and rents boats. But for whatever reason, people keep coming to him going like, I got this case I need you to follow. Here's $500. And he does it for the money, and he gets beat up in every show. He has a police lieutenant who is ready to throw him in jail as a suspect, even though none of the evidence points to him. But what makes the show is the writing. It really does have that hard-boiled detective dialogue to the point of parody, and it knows it. And everything he says about somebody, he speaks completely in metaphors or similes about everyone. And with each episode, there's some point where he has to go see his buddy, who was Jocko, who is he always describes him as
Australian.
No, he's an ex-doctor, but who's also an alcoholic. He lost his license because he's an alcoholic, and every time he sees him, he's somewhere just drinking, putting him down, laughing at Pat for getting into a stupid mess, and he always signs off like, "See you later, lover." That was always his thing. But whenever he went to Jocko helped him out no matter what. Half the episodes are about somebody who's a spy hiding a microfilm or a microdot somewhere. But it's and it was two different actors who played him. But if you could listen to the episodes by Jack Webb with Jack Webb, and you can find all these online for free. I mean, I got a serious radio subscription where I hear them randomly, but anytime you want, you can pop on and listen to these things.
Like, this sounds an awful lot like the Rockford Files just pillaged that for ideas.
Kinda. It is very Rockford Files-ish. It's just, with Rockford, which, how did I not bring up Rockford? That's actually my goddamn favorite detective show. Sorry.
All right, cut. We're going to start over from the top.
It is that thing where it's just played with a guy who's down in his luck. There is nothing smooth or suave about him. And him being, having such a great, smart aleck attitude mostly gets him slapped around.
Yeah, but the only thing he does that's really cool is he knows how to do a bootlegger turn in his car.
Yes.
I'm not saying that I destroyed a couple of
Trans Ams.
A couple of cars that I didn't realize you really needed to have like the pull lever on the parking brake to make that work. It doesn't quite work when you got the push lever.
I suppose not. All right, Harris, you're up.
Well, I think I would be really remiss if I didn't go dip into, because we talked about, like, the cartoon detectives, if we didn't dip into another favorite genre of mine, the high school detective.
Oh.
And, we could talk about Brick, we could
Sure.
talk about all of the various versions of Encyclopedia Brown.
Fillmore.
But for my money, nothing beats the first 2 seasons of Veronica Mars. And I stress the first 2 seasons, because season 3 was the network interference season, and it's horrible. Skip it, go straight to the movie, you'll be much happier.
Okay.
But it's the movie that ultimately, the series that really put a whole lot of people on the map. It's literally what introduced us to so many actors beyond just Kristen Bell. It reminded everybody about Enrico. I cannot remember his name. The guy who played her father, who's been a character actor in everything. It's got baby Jessica Chastain in it. It's got Paris Hilton appears in it. Season 2 does the greatest stunt casting I have ever seen by bringing in Steve Guttenberg in a role that you will not forget for very good reasons. I will not spoil it if you haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
It is a fascinating show, and it's one of those ones of like the late 90s, early zeros where you had shows where people, like, you're sitting there minding your own business, and then it's just kind of like, what the heck is Iceman from the X-Men movies doing here?
That guy, I never actually adore him. Put him in everything. So I mean, I feel like it's kind of obvious, and this was my knee-jerk reaction, and I almost went back on it, but I was like, we can't do this episode and not talk about the detective Batman, right?
Okay.
But I want to veer away a little bit from Batman and look at the Bat family, because I think that like all of the many kids and cousins and adopted whatevers and
Batman's
friends.
army of child soldiers.
Yeah. Friends,
Batman's
families,
army of
and
war
neighbors.
crimes.
Yeah, like, but you know,
The Child Endangerment Squad.
I think, you know, there's definitely, and you know, she's very interconnected into the Batman universe, but kind of does her own thing as well. Renee Montoya's The Question. You've got Batwoman, who has some really amazing, the J.H. Williams run on her comic does some really amazing stuff with a very detective feel to it. Obviously, The Question gets really pulpy in a lot of her story arcs. But I think it's, you know, especially with like the current run on Nightwing, you have a lot of really great opportunities to see Dick Grayson, you know, kind of puzzling through things. Tim Drake is like probably top of the list, like better detective than Batman in a lot of instances. And I think that it's, you know, it's interesting because we call the Batman the detective, but I think for years now, like his not progeny have been really carrying that legacy very well.
Well, he spent most of his career with Ra's al Ghul calling him "Hello, Detective," so it's easy for him to think, "Well, I'm the detective," and these. You know, I teach these kids, but they'll never be me. But then he falls into complacency, and they get better than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really easy to be the world's greatest detective when you've got apparently $1 billion to spend on bullshit
Yeah.
that does all the work for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, at least Sherlock was in a fucking morgue just with a riding crop beating a corpse so we could figure out what all of the bruises would look like.
I mean, I definitely feel like Nightwing is like Batman before Batman sold out,
Before he sold out.
Or like,
man, I liked it when Batman was a scrappy indie, but then he got big and sold out. Now he's just doing all these side projects.
It used to be about the crime, man.
But like, you know, Batman has become like very, very techie, and you know, I think one of the great things about the most recent Batman movie that a lot of people really loved was that it was really a return to Batman as a detective. We didn't get that from Christopher
I've been
Nolan.
wanting him to go low tech for so long.
Absolutely.
Because they just keep upping. Oh, his tech can do this. A thing I read in one of the books was where he just throws some orbs in a room and it analyzes what happened before they even got there. And I'm like, no, goddammit.
What in the actual hell?
Yeah.
Random bullshit, go!
Even Iron Man doesn't do stuff like that.
I mean that's the like, you know, that's the Batman Dark Knight equivalent of laser swords, right? Like it's kind of a bullshit out.
Yeah,
which is why I like if you're going to talk about the DC detectives, the one that I really like is the Elongated Man. Where Ralph and Sue Dibney have this great Nick and Nora thing going on. Right. But also his powers have no benefit to him whatsoever in terms of solving crimes.
Okay. I was like,
yeah, he gets to twitch his nose and you're like, oh, there's a crime happened here. And you're like,
yeah, there's a corpse right there.
Yeah,
Great detecting.
Right. I know, I can smell it.
Good job, my friend. Good job. Yeah.
Man, I've never really stopped to think about that, but you were so right.
Does it? So other than Jessica Jones, okay, so Marvel has quite a few private detectives as well, though. You've got Jessica Jones.
Yeah, and Jessica Drew.
And Jessica Drew.
Spider-Woman.
Yeah, anyone named Jessica is a PI.
Yeah.
Really, Misty Knight, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, Misty Knight. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
All right, so it's all the women. Are there any male detectives in Marvel?
Come on, Marvel, get with it. Representation matters.
Yeah, come on.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are, and I'm sure several characters have done like stints as detectives.
Yeah, I mean, there's they do a lot, like Daredevil does a lot of detecting, but he's a straight up, like, first of all, he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
But, and again, he's kind of like Batman in that he's got the bullshit advantage of, like, can smell everything and knows exactly what it is. So it's like, it's almost cheating in a way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, and especially like any like old
real detectives don't use tech at all. They don't use forensics. They go with their gut.
Because even DC had the original Question. So when you get into those like vintage years, DC had very detective-like
Oh,
noir type stories, and I'm
and
just
Detective
trying to
Chimp.
think.
Yeah.
And,
I mean-
and Angel and the Ape. They
Yeah.
were detectives.
Oh God, do we need to take you to the ER for that deep cut?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of if like Marvel has any equivalents to that
I
to that sort of detective vibe.
not-
Spider-Man noir. I mean,
Okay, all right. Well,
But-
okay, because when you're trying to scan your brain for detectives, you think, all right, well, who wore trench coats?
that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, yeah, and you go, oh, Ben Grimm. No, he wasn't a detective. He wore the hell out of a trench coat and a hat.
I mean, he kind of was. Like, every once in a while, someone from Yancey Street would be like, "Hey, Ben, we got a problem." You'd be like, "All right, I'll take care of it for you."
I would read that comic. I would absolutely read him like just opening his own detective agency. Let's do it.
I would. You know, it's a weird thing because Ben Grimm, anytime they do any kind of one shot or like story arc or a miniseries with the Thing, they're always really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you like you might just blow past it, you're like, whatever. It's like, oh no, actually every one of these is a gem.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But he's not a detective though, so I don't know why
Yet.
I brought that up. Not yet.
Yeah. So, who are your favorite detectives? Tell us down in the comments. We actually chose this particular topic because it was recommended by one of our commenters, X.
X?
Did I get that right? Z?
Z?
Z. That one. That's the letter. I'm good at alphabet.
Someone's taking the L.
Well, in certain languages, they're pronounced the same.
And by our commenter, P.I. Yeah, we're detectives, not stand-up comedians. Sorry, you guys. But yeah, tell us down below in the comments. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. See this? We do this every week with enthusiasm and bad jokes. Some good jokes too. I'm gonna stop.
They'll be
talking
better
now.
next week, I
They'll
promise.
be better next week.
Yeah.
Please don't promise.
Oh, and one more thing. Now, I'm trying to understand. You say that you're recording this for the internet. Now, Mrs. Columbo, she really likes this internet thing. I'm not so sure.
Is there a point to this, detective?